Welcome to Epic Court Encounters. All right, today we in Judge Boyd's court where we have a defendant in there that has a little spicy attitude. And Judge Boyd is not the one to be played with when it comes with an attitude. So I have all of her hearings in here, her violation date when they asked for bond, and then it's going to continue from there up into her most current hearing, and you're going to see everything that's going on. Let's go.
Who's here? Larietta Holmes?
Judge, we're here this morning just to set a bond. It's a deferred case.
Okay.
The MTR right now is set on Thursday. I checked with probation this morning. They don't have the report ready yet, but hopefully we'll be able to resolve it Thursday. There may be a small chance I may need some more time depending on, I'm trying to get some information for us.
All right. So you're requesting a bond?
I want to see if we can get a bond set.
All right. Have you conferred with the state?
I have
All
spoken
right.
to Jason.
It's calling 2024 CR 2336. Everyone needs to whisper. State versus Larietta Holmes. Can I have parties announced?
Jason Deere here for the state, Your Honor.
John Robertson from Ms. Holmes.
And are you Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
All right. Defense is requesting a bond. You're on deferred adjudication, so you're entitled to a bond. Have you all reached an agreement on a bond amount?
No agreement, Your Honor.
All right. State, what are you requesting for a bond amount?
Previously, the bond was, Your Honor, and the state is requesting 30,000.
All right. Defense, what are you requesting?
I request court to consider 5,000.
Do you want to call your client as a witness for purposes of the bond?
Sure.
All right, can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record. You're gonna need to speak up so the court reporter can hear and so I can hear.
Yes, ma'am. Larietta Holmes.
All right, defense, you may proceed.
And Ms. Holmes, you're in custody pending a motion for an adjudication of guilt indication, right?
Yes,
Okay. Before you were arrested, were you working?
yes, I
What,
was.
what kind of work were you doing?
I'm a licensed esthetician.
And do you also receive any other type of assistance?
Yes, sir.
And what is that?
I receive SSIs, some benefits.
Okay. And if the court were to set a bond in this matter, you understand that would potentially, if you were able to make the bond, we would still have to come back to court for the motion to enter adjudication of guilt. Do you have funds available to where you could post bond?
Yes,
Okay, understanding that a 10% that the bondman might be necessary, do you have funds available to post a $30,000 bond?
not 30,000.
You have funds available to post a $5,000 bond. Is there any other family assistance that you would be able to rely on to come up with money to post bond?
A spouse and my,
That's all I have.
All right, any questions, state?
Yes, Your Honor. Previous bond was at 15,000, is that correct? And did you make that bond?
yes.
And why was your bond, why were you remanded with that bond?
I honestly, I don't know. I just remember it's not fine. And they just came to pick me up.
What for the question, Your Honor?
All right, this is what the court is gonna do. The court is gonna set your bond at $30,000 and there's to be no contact with the elderly or the complainant in the new allegation. All right, Ms. Ferguson, if you give her a reset form, please. They will be back on Thursday,
I think we're already set Thursday, Judge.
but she doesn't have a reset form. I want to make sure she has one.
And Judge, if we need more time, can we address the court on that on Thursday?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the next hearing is a motion to revoke. Let's go in.
Who is here on Larietta Holmes? All right, are you all ready to proceed on this motion to revoke?
Yes, sir.
Can I have a motion to revoke stamp, please?
I don't need it. I'll have a digital copy.
Second.
Yes.
What first conversion?
Court is calling 2024 CR 2336 State versus Larietta. Nicole Holmes, could I have parties announced?
Andrew Harris Ailman for the state.
John Robertson from Ms. Holmes.
And are you Ms. Holmes?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you the same Larietta Nicole Holmes who was placed on deferred adjudication in 2024 CR 2336 for the offense of injury to an elderly person with bodily injury on June 13, 2024 for a period of 2 years? Is that you? All right, you're gonna have to make sure you keep your voice up so that I can hear and the court reporter can hear. State,
In Bear County, Texas, the defendant Larietta Nicole Holmes did then and there fail to report to the supervision officer as directed for the months of March and April 2025 in violation of condition number 4.
how do you plead to that, true or not true? State,
State waives the remaining violation allegations.
any objection to the waivers?
No, Your Honor.
Did you understand by pleading true to violation of condition number 4, the court could find it true, grant the motion, find you guilty, sentence you up to 10 years in the prison and up to a $10,000 fine? Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to violation of condition number 4?
You still want to plead true to violation of condition?
All right, so here's the thing, you're gonna have to speak up. And you need to speak the way you speak when you're not in court before me. So whatever agreement you think you've worked out with the state, I don't have to follow that agreement because this is a contract and it's a contract with the court. It's not a contract with the state. It's not a contract with the defense. So you pled true to violation of condition number 4. Regardless of what agreement you think you've reached with the state, I can revoke you and sentence you to 10 years in prison. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, knowing that, do you still wish to proceed with this plea of true?
Yes, ma'am.
As you see, she got her attention fast. I know you're hearing the year 2024, but this case originated in 2022. There were a lot of things that went on between 22 and 24 before she ended up in court and been given the directions of what to follow from the court.
All right, is there a proposed agreement?
Yes, Your Honor, to deny the motion, continue on regular supervision and amend for the following conditions. Immediate placement of GPS monitor for 6 months. Proof of residence or proof of employment with every OV. Don't know what OV stands for. If no proof of employment, then proof of disability. If not on disability, 4 job searches per week, as well as minimum of 12 community service hours performed monthly. Immediate enrollment in anger management course, IVR call inline for 4 months, bi-weekly reporting for 4 months.
All right, so here's my question. You want to raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
You can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Larietta Holmes.
What have you done since you've been on probation?
Since I've been on probation, I did try to finish my classes.
So you didn't finish your classes, you tried to, all right?
For community service, because last time I was here, my lawyer asked if I could I was getting my BA,
Mhm.
and he asked if I could use that for community service.
And why didn't you finish that?
A lot in between the time happened, so I did have to drop.
What has happened?
Lights were turned off in November, and it was hard for me to try to get any type of assistance for it because it was overdue and they just turned it off. So in between time, I was trying to find assistance, I was trying to find work, and also trying to maintain my home, and keep up with everything that I could, and also raising my 2 children.
So where are your children now? Who's raising them?
My son, he's with his girlfriend, and my daughter, she's with my sister. She works, my son works. Both of them work, they're both of them in school, and they both get good grades.
Okay. So here's the thing with lights being turned off. Back in the day, people didn't have lights. You turn on a candle.
If you know Judge Boyd, she's about to get schooled.
And people always assume that where people are in their station in life is always where they've been. Like they never had financial problems or things haven't. I've had my lights turned off before. And you know what? My mom and my grandmother would always say, hey, whatever you do, make sure that you have if you're living in an apartment, make sure that's paid. If you're living in a house, make sure that paid. If the lights get turned off, if the water gets turned off, at least you'll always have a place to stay. So getting your lights turned off, and sometimes people like, oh my gosh, that's so embarrassing. It's like, I still have a place to stay. Getting lights turned off happens to everybody. I guarantee you, a majority of the people in this courtroom, attorneys included, deputies included, court reporter included, have at some point had some utility turned off. One time it happened to me, and it's just because I forgot to pay the bill. And I'm like, hey, why is my water not on? And they said Stephanie Sauce came out and turned it off. I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to pay my bill. And they came out and turned it back on, of course. But that's nothing to be embarrassed about. So, and the reason why I'm telling you this story is because you have to reach out to probation and tell them what's going on in your life. Otherwise, you could go to prison for 10 years. And then who's going to be taking care of your children? Now, what's happening with the new number one in this case?
Judge, I can elaborate on that. That is an allegation based on a voicemail that was left with the landlord. I received a copy of the police report. The landlord sent a copy to the court, and that was forwarded to me by Norma. They took a police report based on a voicemail. And last time I looked, a voicemail doesn't arise to a Class C threat.
What?
So anyway, that'll have to be sorted out. I think that's obviously one of the reasons why we're not going on that today.
All right. So what's happening with this number one?
That's a municipal court problem.
Okay.
So
All right. Probation. What is your recommendation?
Judge, the court summary, according to the sentence summary, is exactly what Mr. Edelman states.
All right. So why were you not reporting? That's the easiest thing, to pick up the phone.
I was communicating with my probation officer. I was
Not in March and April.
I was in March and April. I did. I even got kind of scared because he wasn't responding back to me. He never did tell me to come in. Everything that I was going through, far as dealing with the landlord and also dealing with housing, and my life still being not connected, I was communicating with him.
So has she been communicating?
Judge, I can check the notes.
All right.
that's one thing we discussed, Judge, is that communication, however the communication is not a substitute for reporting. And I think Clarice understands that.
And my lawyer did make a good recommendation. He's when, communicating, texting, sometimes it's best for me to go down there. And I didn't know that. To set up an appointment, go down there so I could be seen. And that way it wouldn't be no miscommunication.
I want you to put in the comments if you believe what she just said. I know if it was me on probation and I didn't hear from my probation officer, I'm going to go find him.
Judge, last office visit in the system indicates February 28th and 2025. There was a text message sent out with an appointment scheduled in March. I don't see anything indicating there was a phone call with back to the officer, and the same for April, Judge. There were also system text messages reminding his moms, you need to pay your fees. There's some batch emails that went out for services.
All right. This is her first motion to revoke. I'm going to tell you something I'm going to tell you right now. Number one, when your utilities are disconnected, that's nobody's fault but your own. If my utilities get disconnected because I forgot to pay, that's not their fault. It's not the utility company, it's my fault. Your emergency is not somebody else's priority unless they want to make it their priority. And when you have a landlord and part of your contract with your landlord is you pay rent and you pay utilities, when utilities get cut off, that means that you didn't pay them, or maybe the utility company made a mistake. If the utility company made a mistake, then they will come out and correct it. Now with CPS Energy, if they do that, they can turn it on immediately because they've switched out everybody's meter where they can operate it from in office. But when your utilities are cut off, one thing you do not do is on your own try to cut them back on or tamper with meters or anything of that nature. Do you understand?
I would never do that. I don't wanna.
No, okay, here's the thing. Don't say that because that's what's in the police reports and everything.
Huh?
And the other thing is, it is clear from the court, based upon what you're on probation for, that you do have an anger issue. And it appears from the court that you don't know how to address your angers when things don't go your way, other than lashing out at other people. That is going to stop. Otherwise, you're looking at 10 years in prison. Then the 10 years in prison, you can try and lash your anger out at other inmates, and you know what's going to end up happening? Somebody at the prison, somebody at the jail is going to be badder than you,
Okay, all right.
and they're going to unleash anger on you. So if you don't want that to happen, then you had better change your ways. And this bullying thing that maybe you're doing with people that are older than you because you're on deferred adjudication for injury to the elderly, that's going to stop. And your landlord says that they're 57 and they have a disability and they're having to deal with you. So if you were living at that property, you don't have to worry about not having lights at that property because the court is no longer going to allow you to live at that property, and you're no longer going to be allowed to have contact with her. If you have contact with her, a motion to revoke is going to be filed. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
See, and I don't know why you're giving me that attitude now. You know what you did to Miss Holmes, that breathing hard. No, that breathing hard thing. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's not going to be tolerated here. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
It's time for you to start showing respect to people, whether you think they're worthy of it or not, because you're landlord. Whether you think they're worthy of it or not, you need to show respect to them because you're living on their property in their house and they can take that away. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And you need to start behaving differently so that your children will know the proper way to communicate, and it's not through violence. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so you're going to start completing the conditions of your probation immediately. And when you are released, if you don't start enrolling in these programs and completing them, a motion to revoke is going to be filed. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, the court will deny the motion. Alternate men conditions to the following. Need to get items, you'll need to have someone other than yourself go over there and go with the police escort to retrieve your items. You are not allowed to call her or have third parties call her or have third parties contact her, other than that one time when that person goes to the location, if you have items there and they need to go there with the police escort. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to start your anger management classes and probation. What is the earliest she can start anger management?
Give her 30 days.
All right, anger management class are to begin within 30 days. Do you have a disability?
No, ma'am.
All right, she doesn't have a disability, so there needs to be there's no proof of disability needed. You're going to need to get a job. That's how people make it in this world. Nobody's depending on somebody else to pay their bills. You're going to get a job. And if you need to get 2 jobs to make a full-time job, then that's what you're going to need to do. So I'm going to require a full-time job. And for the court, full-time employment means at least 40 hours a week. If you want to get 2 part-time jobs, 20 hours each, that's fine. But you're going to work, and there are plenty of places for you to find employment. But sometimes people think certain employment is beneath them. No employment is beneath you because we all need doctors. We all need people who are going to pick the fruit. We all need people who are going to work at HEB or work the fries at McDonald's. There's no shame in that. It's a legitimate job. So proof of full-time employment within 45 days. And GPS, probation, do you want GPS?
Yes, sir.
All right, there's to be GPS, waive fees. Do you want full-time GPS tracking? What do you want?
Partial GPS for now.
All right, partial GPS for employment. And GPS is until further notice. And do you still want this IVR hotline?
That part summary indicates she's helped submit four UAs.
Why are you not going in for your, why are you not going in for your UAs?
To my knowledge, I only felt one that was in.
Why are you missing one? Because when you miss one, you could go to prison for 10 years.
I think the day that I missed that was when I went to the office to see him. And by the time it was time for me to leave to get in my Uber, they were going to be closed. And I think it fell on a weekend.
There's a lot of variables in that story.
All right, probation, do you still want the IVR hotline?
Monthly UAs, Judge.
All right, monthly UAs. You're not to miss a single UA. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Probation, is there anything else? All right, bi-weekly reporting for 4 months.
Nothing else, Judge.
Is there anything else you need from the court in order to be successful?
No, ma'am.
All right, you better do better. Otherwise, you're looking at going to prison for potentially 10 years.
If she hadn't gotten that subtle message from Judge Boyd the last 5 times, she's not going to get it.
From here on out, we can go off the record, from here on out, anything that you do, you need to ask yourself before you do it, is this something that could result in me potentially going to prison for 10 years? If the answer is yes, don't do it unless you want to potentially go to prison for 10 years. If your answer is, well, maybe it could, don't do it because you could potentially go to prison for 10 years. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good luck to you. Thank you,
Thank you.
counsel.
Results. You can share on top of them.
Okay, we have now made it to the latest hearing. Now let's see how much spice is going to be in this one. Let's go.
Larryetta Holmes, hello. Oh, so here's the thing. When someone says hello, there's usually a response back. So let me just tell you what's going on. You're being rude and disrespectful to your probation officer. You act like you're not on probation. When I say there's to be no contact, there's to be no contact. And now you're using profanity towards probation officer like you're not on probation and that this is somehow his fault. It is not. It's all your fault. You're here because you're on deferred adjudication for injuring someone who's an elderly person. That's why you're here. You're not on probation because he placed you on probation. You're not on probation because he committed a crime and you're taking the time for him. You're here because of your actions and you're acting as though none of this is your fault. This is all your fault, 100%.
I'm not acting like none of it's my fault, and I take accountability for what I've done.
No, you have not taken accountability. Did you take accountability for using profanity towards him?
No, I didn't.
And I don't know why people think that when you're in a situation where you should be using logic to find what are using your cognitive skills to decide how I'm going to proceed with this, instead, you go after your probation officer. And the probation officer, let's be honest, every defense attorney will tell you a probation officer holds your life in their hands. Because you know what? Let's say you're supposed to report to probation at 9 a.m. and you end up reporting at 9:05. Guess what? You have not reported at 9 a.m. A probation officer can say, hey, that's a no report. But sometimes they may take sympathy on you and say, I realize what's going on. They're here, but they don't have to do that.
Yes.
And you using profanity towards a probation officer is not helping your case at all.
And I understand that. And the reason why I did, and I didn't, I just said the F word because he called me a liar. And when I didn't lie to him about any situation that was going on, I sent them all the information from my legal aid lawyer. I sent them everything. He even gave me his personal number for me to contact him. When I had to go to the emergency room and had to get a blood transfusion, he even offered to take me there. He called.
This is not your blood. This is not about your blood.
I know it's not about my blood, but it's he basically, when I went to go see him, he was telling me that I lied to him, which I never lied to him about anything.
No. This starts with you wanting to go to a location where I said you are not allowed to have contact. That's where all of this came up. Then everything snowballs into something else.
Yes, ma'am. And I did exactly what you told me to. I didn't go to that location. I filed my police reports. I did everything that I could do without going to that location.
All right, so then that was it. I don't know, what do you expect him to do? Like, I like for people to just put their cards on their table. Sometimes people are like, judge, but I like everybody to have an understanding. So you go to him because you want to go to a location and retrieve items when I told you you couldn't go to that location. So we're back to the point. What did you want him to do?
I asked him, was there any assistance or any way that I could? He told me, I don't know.
Mhm.
He told me he didn't know, he couldn't help me. So I didn't have no other choice but to call the police, make a police report. I had my daughter, she's 16 years old, to go there. When she went there, she took pictures of everything that was outside.
All right, so again, what did you want him to do? He said, hey, I don't know. There's nothing I can do for you.
When I contacted Miss Adams, she told me to ask my probationer if there's any assistance that he can help me or provide without going to that location.
And he's saying no.
And he said no. And I told him I don't have no other choice. My children is 16 and 18. They didn't have the money. They don't have money for you all. My daughter just quit her job because no one was able to take her to work. So I didn't have nobody else to help me get
So
anything.
again, I don't know how this translates into you using profanity against him. He's like, I can't help you. And honestly, it's not his job to help you get your things. Really, you know what a probation officer's job really is? And they'll correct me if I'm wrong, but their job is to make sure that you abide by your conditions. Everything else that they're doing is just extra, but that's not their job. It's not, for example, if you can't pay your utilities, it's not their job to find places for you to pay utilities. They'll do it. They'll say, here's some places that you can call. But that's not his job. And if he tells you, I can't help you with getting your things, again, we're back to the point. He says, I can't help you. So what do you want him to do? He's like, I can't help you.
And
How does that translate into using profanity against him? And then telling him, sending him an email, telling him all this is his fault and it's on his shoulders. It's not.
She sent the email and put that in writing.
All of this happened because of you. Guess what? You can't go to that location because you injured an elderly person. That's why it's all your fault. And there are consequences for all our actions.
It is, and I communicated with him. I told him everything. I sent every case number. I even sent him my legal aid information. I sent everything. I tried to do everything the right way before it even went out of hand.
But see, here's what you don't understand, and you're not internalizing what I'm saying. He is telling you, I can't help you with that. And you still keep going back to him. He's already told you, I can't help you with that. Giving him numbers to your legal aid, giving him numbers to this person saying, we're trying to help her get her things. He can't help you with that. His whole role is to supervise you on probation. That's it. He can't say, you know what I'm going to do? I tell you what, let me go over there and get your things for you. He can't do that. That's not his job. Now, if he offers to do that, great, but he doesn't have to. He has told you more than once, I cannot help you with that. I still don't understand how that goes and translates into you using profanity against him. His job is hard as it is. And then to have somebody come in and use profanity against them, that's an issue. And then to have you go into that location when you know you're not supposed to, that's an
I
issue.
never did go to the location. I didn't. I had to call the police for a different location. To make
All right, so you called the police and then what happened?
I made the police report. I went down to the property. I also went down to 315, the headquarters, to fill out all the information because the day I was arrested, everything was stolen. My car, my credit cards, everything. So I'm trying to do everything that I have to do the best way that I can, the right way.
All right, the right way is not using profanity against your probation officer. That's not the right way. The right way is not being disrespectful. And you know what? This whole thing with the injury to the elderly, where are the anger management? You do have an anger problem. Because when people tell you no, you can't accept that, you take it to 100. He said, I can't help you with that. And then you use profanity against him. You're calling him all sorts of names. Nobody likes to be called out there, give a name.
I didn't call him out his name. I just said it was fine. I didn't have no other choice. So I would have to figure it out.
No. We're not here because you said it was just fine.
The best thing she can say in this situation is yes, ma'am.
Where is the officer? If you come forward, please. All right. So you're Officer Wolf?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So let me ask you a question. Are you able to go to her former location and get her items for her? No,
No, ma'am.
that's your answer, no. Are you able to file a police report for her so she can get her items?
No, ma'am.
So he can't do that. So what do you want from him?
I have to do it on my own, so if there's something he can help me with, then that's.
Well, see, that's the thing. Now, when you're before me and you're looking at potentially going to prison, now you're like, oh, well, he can't help me with that. He's told you that. Be an adult, solve your own problems. This is supposed to be problem solving. That's why you're on probation, for anger management issues, because you can't problem solve. I don't know, maybe you never were taught to problem solve, but if he's telling you, no, he can't do that, that's not in his job description, then there's no need to use profanity against him. He's told you, I can't do it.
Judge, if I could.
Yes.
speak for a minute. Throughout my time working with Ms. Holmes, it's been pretty apparent that she has a pattern of not taking responsibility or accountability for her behavior. This last incident just kind of made it painfully obvious how there's a deeper issue.
Mhm.
There's a heart issue. Until she can get her heart right, this pattern of behavior is going to continue for her throughout her life.
Mhm.
And she's going to continue to be a danger to herself, to the community, to her victim, everybody. She needs to get her heart right and realize that choices and actions have consequences, good and bad, intended and unintended, anticipated, unanticipated. And until she gets her heart right and realizes that this is just going to continue.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you for coming down.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're going to have to start using your cognitive skills and your problem solving. That's it. When somebody tells you they can't do something, then they can't do it. If somebody tells you, no, I can't take you to the grocery store today, figure it out. He is not really responsible for anything outside of his job description. If he does something outside of his job description, that's just probation officers being nice.
And I understand that, but why would you offer to try to help me when I'm asking for some type of help, and then you tell me you can't help me?
Yeah, he said no. Let me just tell you, here's a perfect example. And I've been in situations where people have told me no. And my thing is, I want you to not send me place to place. If the answer is no, just tell me no and I'll figure it out. He told you no. If I ask him right now, like for example, I had to rush here this morning because I don't like being late. And I was filling in for somebody else on another matter. And guess what? My tank is at a fourth. I don't like it being at a fourth. Now, would somebody go, excuse me, could you go and put gas in my car for me? They're going to say no. Now, what do I do with that? Do I use profanity against him? How dare you not go put gas in my car? He's just told me no. So guess what? As an adult, I got to figure it out. That's it. You got to figure it out. And your figuring it out is, let me get angry with somebody and use profanity against them. And maybe they'll then become so afraid of something and say, okay, we'll do that for you. Not his job. And I can tell you right now, if you don't start treating people with respect, one, you're not going to get anywhere, because when you disrespect people, they don't want to help you. And number two,
respect.
No, you did not. That's the thing. You're still in this clouds. Like these are not, I don't know how your relationships are outside of this world, but in this world, you need to treat people with respect, whether you respect them or not. Like right now, you can hate my guts all you want to, but you had better say your honor or judge.
Okay, Judge Boyd just went in deep on her.
You understand? You better not be calling me out of my given name. And you better not be calling probation officers out of your given name. I'm sure he told you, no, I cannot help you. And when somebody says, no, I cannot help you with something, maybe you want to ask them again. You ask them again. If you ask the third time, you're begging. And he's already told you he can't help you with that. That is not his job. That is outside his job description. If he decides to help you outside of his job description, just him being nice. You need to figure it out. The same way people have children and you figured out how to have children, you need to figure out how to get the rest of your life together. You're on probation because of your actions. And honestly, the reports I received, I will tell you, when I received that report, I told them, file a motion to revoke. And then probation came to me and said, Judge, could we do a compliance hearing to have her come in? And I'm like, yeah, if you all want to do a compliance hearing, we will do a compliance hearing. So this is the last time I'm having this conversation with you, telling you, you need to be respectful to people and you need to learn how to problem solve. How old are you?
33.
You're 33-year-old. You figured out how to get all of those piercings, right? You figured out how to get the nails. You figured all of that out on your own. You need to figure this out on your own. Is there anything else you need from me?
No.
All right, does she need to, when is her next report date? And are you employed?
You told me I had 30 days to find a job. I had a business, but all my stuff is gone.
All right, so that'll be a no. So Miss Ferguson?
Yeah.
Recall her for the week of August 11th, and I'm gonna see how you're doing on probation. What date?
I can do that Monday, the 11th.
All right, so you're coming back on August 11th for me to get a report on what's going on. If you'll give her a reset form. Probation,
Yes, Judge.
when is her next report date with you?
It's not, I have an appointment set right now, from Officer Wolf's information, she was supposed to be reporting.
He wrote on the paper July 9th.
Twice a month.
July 9th?
That's what he wrote on the paper.
All right, so she said her next her next appointment date with him is July 9th. All right,
Have to confirm, Mr. Wolf was mentioning that the GPS is supposed to have been installed as well, but that she did not have it.
all right.
I don't have nowhere to stay, no address.
It was ordered June 5th. And it was supposed to be done through work release waive the fees for partial for employment purposes only.
All right, so if you all could give her a list of places for her to find housing. And then we're gonna come back on August 11th, and by August 11th, you need to have the GPS on. All right, thank you.
She's lucky probation stuck up for her and that they're trying to work with her to help her get through some things. So I'm definitely going to follow up and check out the next hearing to see what she does and how she's doing. So I hope you enjoyed the video and I will see you around on the next one.